And welcome back to another episode of Geek Centurions. We're back to talk about Andor. We've been out for 4 episodes because there were other things to talk about, and well, the show is kind of slow, but good slow.
Yeah, it's a bit of a slow burn, but these past four episodes have been. Yeah, these past four episodes have been pretty interesting as far as
hmm
things go.
I honestly thought I was like, oh wait, it's still going, but like in a good way. But we're gonna go through them real quick, and then we're gonna give all our thoughts on the show in general. Episode was it 4, 5?
No, it was. I'm pretty sure episode 6 is the heist episode.
Yes. The heist episode. I remember you telling me like, no, that's a heist. That's a heist. And I'm like, well, I imagine it's a heist. But then like, oh, okay, I see what you mean. Like it goes through all the plot, I won't say plot points, but like the
All the classic heist, sort of.
shenaniganeries.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it sets up like you know all these characters what they do, their how they're related to everything, and here we kind of find out a little bit more, but also just establish why Cassian is the way he is, even more so, right? Um, the heist doesn't go as planned, like we said earlier. Communication issues. They're trying to get this one guy who's like clearly the guy in charge, who is kind of an ass, but not that much of an ass. Uh, you know, they're trying to get him to open up the safe.
Well, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
like clearly there's a bit of hiccups here and there. Like there
Mm-hmm.
was like the extra guy that they didn't know about
Mm-hmm.
that they had to kill. He had his family with him too, so they had to negotiate that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So lots of moving parts have now been added to the heist,
Mm-hmm.
and just having to get everything sorted out. They're running a little late on the schedule too because they're like, let's go, let's go, let's go,
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff.
Also, they're all doing this under the guise of an event called the Storm or Eye, the Eye,
Yeah, it's the eye.
and
It's like this weird astronomical event. I think it's just like a meteor shower, basically.
it's goddamn beautiful.
I mean, yeah, but yeah, pretty much they're gonna use it to escape under the cover of the eye or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And because everybody else is distracted, like including the Imperial guards, because they're like, you can take a little break, go watch the eye. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a neat thing to do. Um, but yeah, plan kind of goes a little awry. Stuff
Mm-hmm.
happens. Members of the team get a little axed off, but Andor and at least some of the members are able to escape.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, and one of them, I forget his name. He's a bit of a sketchy fellow.
Yeah, yeah, no. His name started with a D, but at the moment I can't remember who it was. But essentially, the big thing about it was, true colors were shown today.
Yeah, he was in it for the money the entire time and didn't care much for anybody and was willing is pretty much tries to plan with Andor. Hey, let's just leave these guys here and make off with the money. We split it half and half. And Andor's like, no.
No, as quickly as he said that, he was taken out of the board, and this is what I mean by I think it establishes like why Andor is the way he is, even more so, especially when again like going back to the movies, just how shitty people can be, right?
Yeah, like it definitely reinforces his trust issues. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, heck, these past couple episodes with him, they all have a trust issue with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Here it just proves even more of the point because like I didn't notice this until you mentioned it when we were talking about it before we started recording that he kind of let some guy get shot.
yeah, like, one of the dudes, he's like, cover me, all right? Shoots a little bit, and then immediately goes back into cover. So while the guy runs out, he has no,
Cover.
cover from fire, and then he gets shot in the back. So
Yeah, he's essentially like eliminating the
eliminating all the potential dudes they have to split the pot with.
so that he gets a bigger you know size amount of the money,
Mm-hmm.
which is like wow, dude, I thought we were all this together at least, and like kind of also shows that like even the good people, even people who are good or generally care, don't last long because the young guy, the one with the manifesto,
Yeah,
yeah, he ends up biting the dust.
yeah, and it's completely accidental too. And they're like, they try to save him, but they sadly can't. He just dies on the operating board.
Because like they crushed his back.
But he was still wanted to. He still gave Andor his little
Mm,
book, his middle manifesto.
mm,
Because I mean, I guess he was just very much like, you know, Andor. Maybe you're not like the best of dudes or whatever, but at least you can get to read my works. I think I can trust you with that. And yeah, I think that's more or less the episode. Sort of finally ends with the whole Empire reacting.
mm.
Seeing to see like uh Mon Mothma with their at the Senate, seeing the news, um, and the original, the buyer guy,
Mm-hmm.
like being a little bit anxious of like, is it gonna work out? And then he gets like the news, like, yes, it did, and he's like, yes, all right, everything's good to go.
Yeah, and the rest of the episode, the next two episodes are more of like the aftermath and like of the heist, which is something I didn't think we were gonna go into. Honestly, I thought after the heist it was over, but I was like, wait, we're still going.
Yeah, because like this series, it's like 12 episodes, and yeah, we get the consequences of the heist, i.e., like Cassian comes back home and tries to convince
His surrogate mother.
yeah, to like, hey, listen, I got credits. We can just leave, go somewhere, like, and just hang out for the rest of our lives. And she's very much like, yeah. At first, she's like, well, that's interesting. That's pretty neat. Um, but then, like in the next morning, when Cassian's like, come on, let's go, and he's like, no, I'm not going. I'm
Mm-hmm.
staying. Like my place is here. To be a rebel and stuff. And Cassian again being very sort of
No, I don't
yeah.
want any of this.
Yeah, he's like, listen, I already like had to do this crap with the armory stuff, and that went kind of sideways a little bit. But hey, I made it out. But this isn't for us, all right?
Mm.
There's no winning this. He still has that bit of a pessimist angle when it comes to the rebellion stuff. But she's very calm, like, no, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna resist however I can. It's that's my job. You know. And he's sort of like, okay, well, I guess I'll go. And meanwhile, we're also getting
Before you continue, you forget that because of the situation that he, brought, a lot of people died.
yeah, and heck, and again, like the planet Ferrix is now fully under Imperial control. Like they're
Mm.
just stormtrooper barracks and stuff like that. So it is sort of like one of those situations.
We're like, oh fuck, this is fucked up.
Yeah, and he meets back up with um Six, I believe is the name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because she wanted to let him know, hey, tell that dude I don't want anything to do with him.
Yeah, the buyer guy.
Mm.
As well as sort of explain like, like Cassian. Oh yeah, by the way, you know, so and so, was the one sold you out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And to explain like, I think it's because he thought you and I were back together. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what, stupid?
I mean, you're the asshole at the end of the day, dude.
I mean, yeah. I mean, what do you? You gotta feel bad for the guy, but
Yeah.
it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in between, Cassian's whole thing, we have Mon Mothma.
Yeah, so this is where I feel it might be a make and break for some people because this is where the political side of the rebellion's coming in. She's essentially trying to get people to, support her cause. But not like outright say like, we're part of the rebellion. It's more like help me, you know, do some stuff on my side to help the quote unquote rebels. You know?
Yeah, I mean, she sort of criticizes, sort of like the whole heist on the armory, saying like, hey, listen, that's kind of bad because now the Emperor's like passing all these new regulations and all this other stuff. like it's really gonna hurt people, and our dude's just like, well, that's kind of the point. Rebellion is formed when the people are oppressed, and if more people are oppressed, that means more people to our side, kind of thing. Which is sort of like a little bit of a you know sacrifice some stuff in order to gain the upper hand kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And it's also kind of affecting her family at the same time. Well, I think more so her daughter, because it looks like her daughter is like just doesn't know what's like, or is assuming of stuff.
Yeah, she's very much like, yeah, she not only she's just in that rebellious teen age, but she also just does not really much care for whatever her mom does. Like, I mean, it sucks because she's trying her best to just be like a decent mom, but like she's like, fuck you, mom.
Yeah, and it's even more so because like I'm like I said, she's making all these assumptions and stuff about her mother when it's ironically she's doing this for her.
Yeah, because like she talks to her old
Her old friend.
yeah, her old friend from like school who's like a banker.
Yeah.
Because her whole thing's like, I need to start using more of my family wealth, but I can't do that, with the Empire looking into things. That maybe you can help me to be a bit more discreet about it. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll see what I can do, kind of thing.
Remind me, does the husband know what she's doing?
No, I'm pretty positive her husband does not even care I think it's implied that the husband not only doesn't care about her politics stuff. I'm pretty sure he just doesn't really know about her little secret rebel scheming stuff.
I remember that. Yeah, right. And aside from that, what else has been going on with the Moth Mama? It's just essentially the buildings of helping the rebellion.
Yeah, but like because I think her whole plot line has been more of like trying to do it from that political side. I mean, yeah, she's willing to like try to help out with money wise secretly, but I think her main goal is to try to do this a bit more peacefully through trying to work through the Senate. And it is kind of neat to see like the inner workings of the Imperial Senate, sort of just being like this sort of like not necessarily corrupt, but more or less like, well, we're beholden to the Emperor. We really don't do much. We just do what he says, kind of thing.
Speaking of which, that brings us to our other friend,
Cyril.
Cyril, who is such a sad life.
Yeah, I mean, he gets that job with with his connections to his uncle, but he's still very much like, I must find Cassian Andor, and I must make him pay for his crimes. And like
it is a weird obsession, I won't lie.
Yeah, I mean, it's very Holmes Moriarty, I guess.
I guess you can say that. I'm trying to think of a more interesting one, but I can't think off the top of my head. But yeah, no, it's almost like he's very like, one, obviously he doesn't like his situation right now, living with his mother, and like just the boring desk job that he has. Because goddamn, was that when they pan out to his like
it's
cubicle?
like it's the space version of a desk job. That's so sad. I mean, there's no like cubicle walls, but it still like looks so boring and cold and gray. Just like
lifeless, no spirit at all.
This man was going out there trying to catch criminals, and now he's put behind a desk. But he starts doing some inquiries and stuff about like, all right, I need to find this Cassian Andor. I got to stop him. He's a rebel. He's broken the law. I must find justice. He's a very justice-oriented guy.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see where his story goes at the same time, because it's like, because for me it's like, what? Who hurt you, dude?
A little bit, and he also sort of mentions like half the reason for him, half the reason why Cassian got away was because there was a bit of a corruption in his sector, with those guys, as well as like just incompetence. So he feels more like, maybe he's one of those guys that feels like, yeah, the Empire isn't doing enough. We got to find these guys. We can't just be lax. We're letting corrupt dudes just like hang out and stuff, which I think is a very interesting character arc to go with. But yeah, that's sort of more or less where that episode ends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, no, it actually ends with Andor doing, like just like living out his life on this planet, being a tourist.
Yeah, and then he somehow gets caught, not because of the stuff that he's done.
But because he's very paranoid
Yeah,
about like a lot of Imperial stuff, and it causes him to get noticed by some Imperial guards, thinking that he's a part of like some sort of rebellious actions. But he's very much like, no, you don't understand. I'm just very curious. I'm a tourist.
it got a little real there for a second. It's like,
Yeah.
why are you sweating?
Because
Because it's hot.
Yeah. Unlikely story.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, and he gets held up by the droid, and because of these new measures, because of the heist,
Yeah,
like all these normally misdemeanors sentences are now have like hugely like unjust sentencings. Like he gets sentenced to 6 years in prison for like a bunch of misdemeanors.
mm-hmm. A little real, if you ask me.
I mean, I guess. I mean, if he was on, it was like if he was like on drug charges, I think that'd be too real.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it sucks for Cassian because the one thing he wanted to avoid has happened to him completely through no fault of his own.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was no fault of his own, but it was actions that he had to help cause.
Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
realistically, if that heist never happened, he probably wouldn't have. That stuff probably wouldn't have happened to him.
Mm-hmm. He's very much a victim of circumstance. A lot of that has been going on with him, because he was just looking for his sister. He didn't mean to kill those two guys, but he had to because of the way the world is, and because of that stuff. Now he has to, I wouldn't say clear his name, but like help, with the
Find
heist.
find a way to like get off the Empire's radar.
Mm-hmm. That's why he had to do the heist, because they provided him the money he needed to do it, because basically he was a getaway driver.
Yeah, and then because of the heist, it caused like a bunch of new rules to be implemented, and now because of one mistake he makes about being too paranoid, it now lands him in the slammer.
Yeah, and we'll get to the slammer part, because that's a really interesting and even more sadder note, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like for the most part, this season has been showing you like the thing that makes the show for me is the fact that we're seeing like what makes people want to join the rebellion, right? The inner workings of the rebellion and the causes of why, like I said earlier, the why people want to be part of the rebellion. Because you have some people who are like I said earlier, I'm just in it because, screw the Empire. And others are like, well, it's just, for the cause, for a better future and all that stuff. And then you have someone like Cassian who's like, I don't have a choice.
Yeah, circumstances have put me into having to work with you guys. I'm kind of a mercenary a little bit. But yeah, that's sort of a whole spiel with Cassian. Sort of like circumstances have put him in this situation, and he has to sort of deal with it. I mean, obviously, he has resentment to the Empire, but he's very cynical about it. It's like, I mean, I don't think I can do anything, But now, throughout all this stuff, he's sort of been put in that scenario of, like having to fight the Empire just because he knows that, like, one mistake he's done has now led him on to this road where he has no choice but to fight. But yeah, the next episode, has we follow Cassian in prison.
Was this the episode that involved that one lady who noted on what's his name? Cyril's actions?
Yeah, the Imperial officer lady, I believe her Miro, I think is her name.
Yeah.
She's like the one Imperial officer lady who's in that whole security board, who's like kind of like trying to prove herself. Yeah, like I completely forgot. She's been having some development as well, mainly in terms of like finally proving her whole theory case about how the rebels have been operating, getting the superiors sort of like, you know what? Yeah, that's a good point. We should follow her lead on this one, So, I mean, she catches up with Cyril because mainly
Mm.
Cyril has been, snooping in on Cassian Andor stuff, and she's like, "Hey, listen, back off."
Mm.
I mean, I'll use you for information just to see, what is there anything new I can get from you. But seriously, back off. This is my jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of our empirical jurisdiction stuff. You
It's
back
gonna
off.
get a little weird with him later on, but yeah. But but that's like the main plot of that is that she's essentially figuring out how all of this works.
And she's like hot on the trail of our buyer guy, Luthen is his name. I
Mm.
looked it up. She's pretty much like, all right, I know, this buyer guy,
Mm.
he's the one behind all this. We got to find him, and to find him, we got to get to Cassian.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, Luthen meets up with an old friend of ours.
Yeah, he goes out to go meet with Saw Gerrera, but before that,
Yeah.
he's very much like, I feel like he's very much there is another side plot with him in terms of like he wants to find Cassian again.
Yes, because he really liked the cut of his jib, basically.
Well, I mean, I think it's I don't know, like no, isn't it like because he wants to make sure like Cassian doesn't know who he is?
Yeah, it's that. Also, I mean, he wants him to work with him with the rebellion.
But the fact that he can't, he didn't come back or whatever, he
Yeah,
just gave him
like,
the thing.
yeah.
He's like, okay, maybe he might be a problem because he knows what I look like, and that might, if he gets caught by the Empire, that might be bad for us. So he sends the two, ladies, the heads of the heist, to go after him, more or less, to try to find out where he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, Luthen goes to meet Saw Gerrera, and we have a definitely poignant conversation about the rebellion, basically. Because Luthen is on the side of like, listen, we got to put all our differences aside if we want to, stop the Empire. All these separate groups of rebels running around has to join forces to take the Empire on. And Saw has always been like, nah, man, I'm the only one that knows how to do this right. All
Yeah.
right? My version of the rebellion is superior to all the other rebel alliances that are starting to pop out now.
Because one for one, it makes sense because the galaxy's so big because we talked about outer rims, inner rims, or whatever. But also it makes sense because like there is no one real where this is where it started. Like you've said it yourself a while back in one of our episodes about it. It's like, where do you say the American Revolution started? It was either the Teapot, the Boston Massacre, or one of the stuff like that, right?
Yeah, like you can pinpoint like where certain like groups or whatever, because it wasn't like a whole like spontaneous thing. Like there's probably like various groups doing rebellious things, and then once like full Declaration of Independence, like it was screwed Britain, all that stuff. That's when all these forces realize, all right, we have one common goal, get Britain the hell out.
And it also goes along with the idea that with shows like Rebels, where the whole that gives you an idea of that side of the rebellion, right? And they basically tell you like, no, we gotta like bring them all together, right? Because Rebels, establishes the rebellion, starting off with this kind of group of people and expanding into somewhere else, but also explains that, hey, there's more, and there's people with different ideologies. Saw Gerrera being one of them.
Yeah, and he's very much like like Luthen's trying to get him to work with this one guy so that they can like strike another Imperial like outposts and stuff, because they're like, hey, listen, he has the ground capabilities, you got the air power. If you guys work together, you guys can do this like easy. And Saw's very much like, no, screw that guy. I don't even care what he, I don't care for what he thinks. Like my version of the rebellion, my belief systems of how we should run this rebellion are superior, and therefore screw you. So yeah, it's a very interesting conversation they have, and I think it's definitely, like we said, like it's highlighting like we're seeing like this network of like different rebel stuff going on, but it hasn't been it hasn't formed together yet. Like they all want the same thing, but they want to do it in different. They want to go about it in different ways, and that's sort of where the conflict between the rebels has has happened.
Yeah, and it's just interesting how all that really plays out too, because like when you think about it, the rebellion's just so big and it spans so far. Obviously, there's gonna have to be differences, right?
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, let's go on to the next plot point, which is good old Cassian and his little trapped in a cell.
Yeah, he's in this this prison planet. Like it's a underwater facility. They have these devices that will just stun them and like cause them to writhe on the ground.
But essentially, it looks like they're working in a machinery.
Yeah, they're like building parts for like stuff. They're like forced labor basically. And we get to meet sort of like his prison mates. One of them being Andrew Serkis's character.
Andy Serkis.
Andy
He's
Serkis.
back.
Yeah, Andy Serkis. Yeah, he's sort of the crew chief of their little work crew. You know, like he wants them all to work right. I mean, he cares about some of them, obviously, but he's very much like, hey, listen, don't do anything stupid or we all get screwed, all right?
We have no time for this shit.
Yeah, like, get to your workstations, do your stuff. I mean, I run it like a competition sort of thing. Whoever does the best gets decent meals and all that shit. So that way, we can work efficiently and,
Which makes sense. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things where, like, you're like, wait, what's going on, right? And first you think he's kind of an asshole, but then you then there's a conversation afterwards, right after like their big, introduction, where Cassian's talking to this one guy, and it sounds like he's like, just give up hope, man. There's no getting out. But then Andy Serkis' character, whose name I'm blanking on,
it's Aquino, I think.
Aquino, yeah, he goes up and was like, hey, cut the crap. Don't ever think that way, basically, is what he's saying.
One day at a time, right?
Yeah.
Sort of
he's
thing.
very much like, no, we can get out of here.
Yeah, we just got to work this out, But yeah, we sort of get to see sort of the mechanics of the prison. Heck, they're like sleeping cells. Like the floor will like just
electrocute.
I think it's electrocute them to death because one guy, I think finally, I guess he just.
I was gonna ask, did that dude just off himself off?
I think he might have. Like he either offed himself off or he wanted to escape or something. I don't know. But yeah, you hear just one guy just like jump out and then like land on the floor and get like electrocuted to death. And like everybody's sort of complaining, just like, hey, what the hell, man? God damn it. They're more concerned about like, well, this is gonna make our shifts, suck now and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to do that here?
Yeah. And it's just like a very like it's a conveyor belt kind of a thing, right? Where they come and go, and like they establish that, hey, do you see those numbers? It'll go down as your days go, but also I think it might go faster if you're more proficient.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think it is sort of like this is the number of days of your sentence.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and you're just gonna have to keep seeing that and live with it.
Yeah, because like I'm jumping ahead, but essentially there's a point where like what character's like, dude, you only got like 30 days, man. You're almost out.
Yeah, like something like that. Like, hey, listen, all right, chillax. You're almost home free. Just keep working at it.
Yeah, and essentially I feel that's where the episode really ends, because essentially it's just establishing like what's going on for this essentially this story arc. And in the next episode, do you want to start off with my man who just is not getting the hit?
Cyril's plot, yeah, because in the next episode, Cyril, he gets promoted at his job or whatever.
Yeah.
And he feels like it's
thanks to that one lady.
Thanks to him being a service to the Empire, right? Is what I think she said to him in that previous episode 8. But yeah, pretty much he goes to like try to thank her, but he's very like weird about it.
Weird is an understatement.
Yeah, it's like he's like, you understand me. You get why I'm doing this sort of thing. You know, like that like, you know, like we have to get Cassian, get Justin and stuff. She's very much like, have you been? How do you know I was here? It's like, yeah. Sometimes I just stand here and just see you come by or whatever, you know, that sort of thing. But that's not that weird. But yeah,
No, it's not definitely weird at all that I just occasionally show up hoping to see you.
yeah. So you know, to thank you and stuff, and it's very, it's very like.
Should I call the cops?
Yeah, it's like, you know, I could get you arrested for doing this. You know that, right?
But you understand me.
You understand that, you know, needs justice.
We're making him sound a lot worse.
A little bit,
But to be fair,
yeah, if a guy would just wait outside, just to talk to some person, you know, just going to their job and stuff, that's kind of weird.
yeah, it's very weird. Like, I'm just like, part of me wants to be like, bro, just let's go. It ain't worth it. That just like that. It's gonna be topical. I know that Gillette commercial, the meme. That one dude who comes in and is like, no, don't do it, bro.
Okay, yeah.
That would be me.
Yeah.
In this situation, if I was in there.
But yeah, no, it's just a pretty, you know, just a weird moment because she's very much like, hey, listen, don't ever show up here again, or I will have you arrested. All right? Yeah, sure. You know, I may have put a good word in to get you promoted or whatever, but that's not, you know, that doesn't mean anything. There's nothing between us. Just live your life. Stop looking into Cassian Andor.
I'm taking over.
I'm taking over that stuff. You worry about living a decent life out there.
He ain't gonna take that. He ain't gonna take that.
No, I mean he's very persistent. You know, he's gonna find Cassian Andor till the ends of the earth. You know, he's gonna search all of space.
You know, it'd be funny if he lives throughout longer than Cassian, not knowing that he's actually dead.
It would be kind of a funny like plot twist where it turns out like he tries to find Cassian and then only to realize he was dead. It's like, no,
my life's purpose.
What was I fighting for? But yeah,
because that's what it really feels like. Like this man has no purpose in life. Catching Cassian is like literally his only purpose.
Well, yeah, because he feels like doing so will like clear his name in a way. Like, like, you know, because he feels like he was put sorely to blame for all the stuff that happened.
Yeah.
During that mission, when he was like, I'm trying to pursue this one guy. I did it. I found him in like 2 days, and I was this close to getting him.
Yeah, and Mon Mothma's storyline, because essentially that's that for her, just continually trying to figure out where where everything's coming around with the rebels, leading into Mon Mothma, where she's trying to like we said earlier, try to make it more, not so obvious that she's like supporting the rebellion, but essentially it looks like we're gonna have to make some deals with some people.
Yeah, some shady people kind of thing. If you want to get your money stuff fixed, which she's very much, again, she's she's very much like, no, we can't do this shady. We have to do this in the right way, like this and that. But I think it's going to become clear to her that eventually, because I mean, obviously, like eventually she is like there at like the Rebel Alliance stuff and all that stuff. Like she, basically eventually realizes, yeah, this is the only option we got. So that is a sort of interesting character development. I think that we're gonna start seeing, as well as we also learned that the one lady, I think I forgot her name, but she was a part of the heist. She's actually Mon Mothma's cousin.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, she's like the cool aunt that's like, oh, I'm just like going around traveling and stuff, but I'm strictly doing rebel stuff.
Remind me, do they both know?
About what?
They're both in the rebellion.
No, they talk about it. Mm-hmm. They talk about Mon Mothma knows that she works for Luthen. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like she knows. I mean, I don't think she knows that like she was involved in the heist, but she knows that like we're doing rebel stuff together.
Mm-hmm. Good sister stuff.
Well, I mean cousins.
Sorry. We forgot to mention that they got old girl.
Oh yeah, Bix. Yeah, they got her, and they used some weird noise ASMR stuff.
I wouldn't say it's ASMR.
I feel like it's ASMR. I mean, we don't get to hear it, but I think it's ASMR.
Oh, God.
I'm just gonna point that out because they're like, oh yes, we found this group of aliens that when they die they make these weird noises and they mess people's minds up. So we decided to use that for a little bit.
That's not how ASMR works, but sure.
I mean, ASMR is just basically listening to a bunch of noise, right? Just like weird noise that makes your brain feel ways, right?
Fair enough. I'll give you that.
Yeah, so they ASMR'd her to like to tell her to get all the information she had.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But yeah, no, she's being tortured, and like there's a cool little cutaway to Andor's situation, where at this point Andor's been in there for a couple of days now, and like he's just making do with what he has, but his line group has an old man.
Yeah, due to like we said earlier, he has like 30-40 days left. So just trying to get him through, but he also is definitely starting to like show his age. Like he's starting to struggle a little bit. His hands starting to really hurt. Like he's just not getting in it. But at the same time, what is it? Like at the same time, he really like, Andor is like also just bonding with some of the other dudes. Like it seems like he's trying to like plan some stuff, at least in terms of like he's studying and how the prison works. He's talking to some other guys, sort of being like, okay, so there's only usually one guard that goes on that lift. Maybe if we were to like just jump onto the lift, ambush him, take his gun, we might be able to do something. He's like, are you sure? Kind of thing. Like he's already game planning some of this out. Like he realizes, like, I mean, obviously I can't be here for 6 years. This is not how I'm gonna live. So he's already game planning a little bit of like, all right, how do we do this? Because so far it seems like it's an impossible mission.
And even Andy Serkis is like, hey, don't do this.
Yeah, Andy Serkis, like, even though he is very much like, all right, we can work our sentences out and stuff, but at the same time, he's like, there's no escape. The only way to escape is to work out your sentence. Like, don't start any trouble. Like, it's not going to work out for us. And Cassian is very much like, well, I mean, the only reason we say that is because it does seem impossible, but there has to be a way. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like they punished us for just talking about this stuff in ourselves. So clearly, they think that this place is so unescapable that we can't escape. But there's a chance. And Andy Serkis is just like, whatever. But apparently, stuff goes down in the prison for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
There's rumors about an entire group of prisoners just getting wiped out. No one knows why, but apparently that's a rumor that's been going around, which definitely scares a lot of the guys, including Andy Serkis, because he's like, that doesn't seem right.
Because not only is he thinking about himself, he's thinking about his men.
Yeah.
And of course, the old man doesn't survive for long.
No, he
is old.
He gets pretty much. I think they say he gets a stroke, and they get the doctor to try to help him out, but the doctor is very much like, no, I ain't helping him out. All I'm doing is setting up so that he dies peacefully, because there's no saving this dude. Which sort of like everybody, like Andor and Andy Serkis' character are very much like, no, but he was so close.
Yeah,
he was so close to getting out. Because they were like trying, like, hey, listen, man, you gotta keep going. You're so close to getting out and being free, dude. But yeah, the doctor's like, and he confirms the rumors as well of like, you better keep your men in line because there's now consequences. And as far as they're concerned, it's like no one's leaving, even if they're like
yeah.
Because I think that's what they said. That's what he says. Like some guy was actually left, like, but then was brought back 2 days later, and then
yeah, for even just like with a Cassian, a misdemeanor.
Yeah, and then the whole floor got killed off. So now knowing that Andy Serkis is fully on board with Andor's plan to get out.
Like, and he's got information too.
Yeah, because Cassian's pretty much like, how many guards are there like on the floor usually in that stuff? And at first Andy Serkis is like, that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna get out. But now after that incident with the old guy, I think his name was Olaf or something.
Yeah.
He's like, how many guards are there on the floor? About 12 usually.
Mm.
I'm
Give
like,
or take.
yeah, give or take. So
Like,
it's like
God damn.
the immediate heel turn. Like they killed this guy.
Mm-hmm.
This man who's been here. He had a couple days left.
Yeah.
And now they're saying none of us are getting out, even if we work our sentences. No, all right, let's do this.
We gotta get out. Because so, from my understanding, the reason why they sent that dude back and like why they've been like killing some dudes is because like I'm guessing one, manpower, and two, not enough room.
I think so. Also, I'm pretty sure it just has something to do with like how the rules have been working now, like the new protocols and all that stuff when it comes to like the sentencing and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like there's no escape. Like that's just how life is right now for the Empire. So it's very much like you shit out of luck.
Mm-hmm. Damn, I don't know how to. That's really fucked if you think about it. But that's where the episode ends. Are we missing anything in that story beat?
No, not really. I'm pretty sure we've covered a little bit of most of that of what's happened so far.
Mm-hmm. And so, what do you think about the show so far?
I once again will say I am liking it a lot. It is such a new take on Star Wars.
It's we said it before. It's very grounded.
Yeah, like we really get to see sort of like how the Empire works in this time of day. The rise of the rebellion and all those sort of like different takes and stuff. Just seeing how this seeing a grounded like version of the Star Wars universe is super neat to see.
Because usually we're just used to the big theatrical stuff, right? And theatrical, I mean also movie, but also like the high flying, the lightsaber battles. But here it's more like, we don't have any of that. We're just regular people, and we're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
We don't have a Luke Skywalker yet. We don't have that hope that he would bring. But I think for me, I'm really enjoying this show. I think the slow pace for me is a little like back and forth because sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'm very into it. This is like, oh man, this is a little slow for me. But not saying that's a bad thing because I usually tend to do like slow shows, but this one's it slouches.
Yeah, I think like it definitely is slow, but it sets.
But like no, when stuff starts going, you're like, oh, stuff is going.
Yeah, because the heist episode I think is a big example of that. There's a lot of build up and intense and to the heist. Like, is it gonna work out? Is it not? And then when that heist episode happens, stuff does start to fall apart a little bit.
Yeah,
and you're like wondering, okay, how the hell are all these characters gonna get out? And it's very like most of them don't get out
because not everyone is safe. But I'm very excited to see where it goes. It's at 9 episodes, right?
Yeah, we're on episode 9, so I think it's 12 episodes, so 3 more to go.
So we'll see how that turns out in later episodes. We might come back to this again with another big chunk because I think the way we're scheduled, it's gonna be a while. But guys, if you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to follow us on all social medias: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at the Geek Centurions. And we're most active on Instagram, where you'll find a link to the podcast sites where all the podcasts and sites we're officially part of, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, all the like. And we also have a link to the YouTube where you can find our YouTube channel and like, comment, subscribe. It's more of a video version of this episode. And we also have a Patreon out there for basically just have that up there just for funds. And you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been Andor. We'll see more when it comes out. But it's me, your boy Eli.
It's me, Joe.
You guys have a good one. Peace.